welcome to Zimbabwe and welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, and thank you for being on your show here today.
Thank you. So could you tell our viewers who is Dustin Paul Wilden and what it is that you do?
Well, I have a long international background from the aviation industry, both in top management, but also from the operational side of the business. I've worked on almost every continent and acquired an extensive international experience working in multicultural environments. Today I serve on several boards in aerospace, defense and security, but also on Anas Group's board of directors as well, where I'm in charge of our global activities, but also the architect behind our strategic industrial development together with the rest of the board of directors, and also our global management team.
And from your brief, you've mentioned that you have interest in diverse industries, and you've also pushed for Denmark's trade and economic diplomacy. How do you juggle between aviation, aerospace, defense, and tourism? How do you juggle between all those industries?
Well, that is a lot, and thankfully many of the areas that I work with are interrelated in a number of ways. And there are actually some synergies that actually complement each other. And for me, working within the aerospace industry, I've always been truly fascinated at what goes on beyond the planet that we live on in deeper space, and how we've just only scratched the surface, and how I can be a part of that. But also what goes on in the travel industry, bringing me back into what we are doing in there. But also now how to deal with COVID and having to resuscitate that industry. But also looking into the situation in the East with the war going on there, and the spike in inflation rates and the economic conditions that we're facing now because of that, where we actually combine defense and energy in there. So you can see they complement each other in a number of ways.
Of the interest that you've mentioned, which one do you think has contributed immensely to your fame? And how did it start? Feedback been from the meetings that you've had so far?
Well, it's been really good. I've met some top level people here in the country, including from CEDA, where there's a huge interest in bringing foreign currency into the country and develop the country. Now that we see that sanctions has been lifted from the European Union, it's going to help develop the country as well. When coming into the country, coming outside the airport, there was this big sign that said, "We're open for business," with the president on it as well. And I was happy to see that, because, okay, we're actually open for business, and we're looking forward to embracing what's coming from the outside. So hopefully that's what we're going to do. And what I saw from Zimbabwe is that there's a willingness and just a great interest in seeing how can we work with foreign entities to bring these kind of things into Zimbabwe that can help develop the infrastructure and the economy.
You've mentioned several meetings that you've had since you're doing business all around the world as a business diplomat. How is that life? What is involved in that life?
It's extremely busy. It takes a lot of my time, as I'm involved in so many different things. But I enjoy what I do. I enjoy making a difference in the world, and seeing that I've had a positive impact on other people's life, and also on industrial relationships. Looking at the crisis situation we've been in with COVID, how do we reorganize? How do we rebuild? How do we resuscitate an industry? Well, I can play an active part with my experience and what I've done throughout my career. So I can honestly say I work a lot. It requires a lot of me as a person, and but again, I like what I do. And
when you leave Zimbabwe, I think one of the questions you're going to get a lot is, did you visit the Victoria Falls? So I'm going to ask you, have you visited the Victoria Falls yet?
Unfortunately, I haven't. And I came down, on my second trip down to Botswana, I flew Ethiopian Airlines, and I came through Addis Ababa, going into Victoria Falls, where we had a technical stop, and then flew on to Botswana. So I only got to look out the window and see what was out there. That was only the airport, so I couldn't see anything. So I will have to make a visit to Victoria Falls. That's on my bucket list.
Thank you again for joining us on our show. It's been a pleasure having you and hearing about all your adventures around the world.
Thank you.
And we hope that you enjoy the rest of your time in Zimbabwe.
I will. I will.
And that's it for our show today on Diplomat Couch. See you again soon.